This is the Let's Go Win podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson.
What is happening, you guys? Welcome back to Let's Go Win podcast. I'm extremely excited because today I have something I'm completely passionate about. That is tennis, that's pickleball. And I have a director. I have the founder of an amazing brand. Evan Specht is the founder and director of operations for both Diadem Tennis and Diadem Pickleball. He played college tennis and low-level pro before becoming a tennis coach and coached college, junior, and pro players during his 15-year career. Evan, there's a lot you have going on, brother. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
It's truly my pleasure. As I told you off air, and this is full transparency, guys. My son does have a sponsorship or a partial sponsorship with Tennis with Diadem, but I just love your brand, dude. I think your pickleball gear is amazing. I love what you guys are doing with tennis. But give me the story, man. How did you create this really awesome brand? Because I know it's becoming quite a player with some of these big boys, but man, it's a cool brand. How did you get to there?
Yeah, a lot of hard work. First of all, that's for sure. I think everybody in our lives told us, it's not possible to create a tennis brand, to go up against the legacy brand, brands. Tennis Warehouse in the beginning told us you're crazy to do this. They did bring our string on initially, so that was good. But it's been a long journey. It started with an idea to make a better tennis string, really. We just thought we were kind of experts in the field of tennis. We both, AJ and I, my partner that I started the brand with, we played futures, college. We coached every level from top juniors, pro level players to beginners. So we felt we had a unique experience that we knew what players needed, at all levels. So we created a very unique string, Solstice Power, which is our first product and still one of our best-selling products, that gets more spin than any string out there. And the response to the brand in general, with our color and the way we promote it on social media, was just so positive. And it was working, and we were cash flow positive that we just kept going. We basically started the brand with our own money, little investment really, and we bootstrapped it the rest of the way, turning every profit into more product, into new product, or just reinventorying the product that was selling. And we went from string to accessories, to rackets, and then to balls, which was a huge boost for us to be able to have a high quality ITF USTA approved ball that competes with all the other big brand balls out there, and to go into a facility and to be able to support their entire program from balls to rackets to strings. It was a long journey and a lot of hard work, and that's where we are today. When we added pickleball, the fastest growing sport, in the US or the world even, to use kind of our strategy of, getting directly to the consumer, working strong partnerships with facilities and coaches, all that stuff, as opposed to kind of what we've avoided, which is the big name sponsorships. We're not investing millions of dollars into a big name, which the way that I describe it, and it plays into the what we do with your son, is, we could give $1 million to a millionaire, right? A guy that's, say, 20 in the world, he's a millionaire, and we're just going to give him another $1 million to say he uses our racket that we probably would have to custom build, that he's not even using what we're actually selling on the market. Or we could give that money in the way of junior partial sponsorships or full sponsorships to kids that are, just who we were when we were growing up, right? Just kids that need to buy a lot of rackets, a lot of strings, because maybe we break them every once in a while when we're angry because we're just a crazy kid. We like to support that type of player a lot more than we care right now, at least, about getting a top player who doesn't really need the money, but it demands the money, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. And it's really cool to see the way you're growing it, because I want to dive into the mindset of you and AJ, because you're having people say, look, you're nuts. What are you doing? You're going against these behemoths, and every industry has them, right?
Yeah.
In your space, I'm assuming that's Wilson, Head, Babolat. These are some of the big players that I see on TV all the time, and everybody's going, you don't have a chance. Yet you guys say, nah, we can do this. And I want to dive into that, brother, because again, it's never easy starting a business, but you have people saying you're nuts. There's no market here for you, but you do it anyway. Talk to me about kind of that mindset that you guys had, and what was the driving force for you to say, we're gonna persevere and continue to grow, because you guys, you're a pretty humble dude, but this thing is growing, and it's growing exponentially.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And that has its own troubles and difficulties of what we enjoy. But I think the biggest thing is just both AJ and I are super competitive. Whenever him and I are together, I mean, it's like, my wife is like almost embarrassed at how competitive we are in everything we do. So I think from an early age, even, and just the way that we compete on the tennis court, I mean, if someone tells us we can't do something, that's like the wrong thing you can say to us. Really, that's how it goes. And I think it was small steps. When you look back over time, it's like, wow, where you come from. Where I have 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom little townhouse. Every single room was full of boxes. I couldn't use one of the bathrooms because I had boxes filled in a bathroom, and you had to walk around my house like slowly to get around shelving, to start from there to what we have now with our headquarters, with the indoor hitting lane, and in our 20,000 square foot warehouse, in a few short years. That was just one small step at a time, to where when you're actually doing it, it's not even that like crazy that it's happening, because you went just these little baby steps. But when you look back over a couple of years, you're like, how did it get from there to there? But again, it's really just dealing with the people one-on-one. It's not about putting a mass marketing, TV ad, or, like I said, getting a pro player and hoping that it works. We're having conversations, and we've had, tens of thousands of conversations with, parents like yourself, for your son, or the directors of tennis, or coaches who kind of believe in what we're doing as well. And it creates, like a following where people are really excited to get behind what we're doing, as opposed to, well, yeah, I use this brand because I started when I was 12 and I really don't have any allegiance to them. They actually care about what we're doing, because they know our product is good, our customer service is excellent. We're always looking to improve. We're always looking to add new products that fill the void and the needs of the players that we're dealing with. If they say, hey, you should make this, we seriously consider looking at that if we hear that from multiple people, as opposed to saying, well, no, that's not who we are, we're not making that. So we listen to the customer, and that's because we talk to our customers a lot. We're constantly in communication with them. So I think that's been a key aspect of how we've been able to grow as quickly as we have.
Well, and I'll tell you, just as the parent in this particular scenario, I experienced that 100%. In fact, I had the people saying, you're crazy. Why are you going with this, not
Yeah,
as
brand you've never heard of. Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, well, A, because the way I was treated. B, I get to walk in. My son gets to walk in. And if anybody's in South Florida, near Pompano, it is awesome, you guys. Go check it out, because they have this badass technology center where you get to test your swing, and they're analyzing everything. And my point to this is, we did use Babolat. He was sponsored, and yet we didn't get that service. In fact, he broke 2 rackets, and I still haven't got it back. That was 6 months later. And my point is, it's unique. And I hope you guys never lose that as you continue to grow, because to be able to walk in, to talk to you, to talk to your amazing sales team and say, here's what I'm looking for. You don't get to do that at Babolat. You just don't. And this isn't to bash on them. This is just to say your offer is so unique. So let's talk about that, man. Talk to me about, you guys are really innovative, or at least that's my understanding. And again, I will claim that I'm not very schooled in tennis. Now, I'm a decent pickleball guy, not to your level, but let's talk about the innovation, what you guys are really bringing to the market, because that too is different. The racket looks different. It's got a lot of technology behind it. So talk to me about kind of the vision of what Diadem's all about.
Yeah, I mean, to take real quick step back too, I mean, one of the other whole concepts of what we did from the beginning, and how we were starting the brand, and what I mentioned with the string and what we've done with every product that we've come out with, is really try to think about how can we make a better version of this product. We're not designing an entire new system of how things are done. We're just taking a racket that already exists and say, how can we make it a little better? What are the issues in a racket or a string or a grip or a bag that people would, think could make it better? How could they get a better experience from it? And so with the tennis rackets, and why we built the indoor hitting lane and the customization center, and to be able to get a player to go through a session, put on reflective nodes, see themselves in 3D, get all the data points from their swing, where it's the contact point, the acceleration, the deceleration, the how open or closed their face is, to be able to customize and build them a perfect racket is kind of that vision all coming together. Because at the end of the day, to take a racket off a shelf and think that it's going to fit you 100% is where I think we decided we could make a better racket if we could give people some good base options with some pretty cool technology like our FS system that really dampens the vibration and is very comfortable swing. But to be able to customize it and make it their own is what kind of separates us. That's the other brands do that. They just only do that for maybe the top 10 players in the world. We wanted to bring that to everybody. We wanted to be able to especially bring that to our sponsored junior players and treat them the same way a big brand is treating Roger Federer. We figured, well, we could do that for a kid who, potentially could be the next Roger Federer, or at least he's going to have an awesome experience playing tennis. At the end of the day, it could help grow tennis. The bigger tennis is, the bigger pickleball is, the more opportunity we have to sell products, because we want obviously the business to do well. But we want to have tennis and pickleball to be just a great experience, like the experience we had when we were kids, and what brought us to college and got us into college and got us education and got us a job after and all that stuff. I mean, tennis has been a huge part of our lives from the beginning. So we want to kind of share that. And to do that with this customization center has been a really, really fun experience. And everybody that's come in here, I think, at least based on their feedback, has been a great experience for them as well. I mean, it's something that you just don't see anywhere else in the world.
Well, and I hope everybody heard that. Again, this won't all just be about tennis, guys, because he's creating a pretty remarkable business. But I will say, I hope you heard this, top 10, you don't get the experience you get for like 100 or 150 bucks, whatever it is, by walking through their doors, unless you're top 10 in the world. It is truly unique, man. And it's really something that is, as a parent, again, to my child, I care more than anything in this world, and he is treated like gold. So let's talk about this business growth, because you did say, you say there's its own set of challenges. And obviously in this unique space we've been in over the last 2 years, there's some really logistical challenges that are happening because of overseas and whatnot. Talk to me about that, kind of how you've been able to continue to overcome some of these challenges, grow your brand, even though all these things tend to be stacked against not just you, the whole country and the world at this point, but you guys have done such a nice job of dealing with it. And I'm just curious how you're able to do it.
Yeah, it's been very, very challenging. I think the best advantage we have is we have an awesome sourcing team in Asia that we've been with since the beginning of the rackets, and they are inside of the factories, doing quality control on a weekly basis, finding new vendors when needed, helping with logistics, helping to develop a lot of our products. They have a ton of experience, 40 years in the industry. So that has been a huge help, because if it was us making phone calls from here, or emails, I mean, we have no chance. I mean, we have not been able to go over there in a couple of years, to our vendors. We have vendors in Japan, Taiwan, Thailand, China, all over Asia, a little bit of South America too, but we can't even go there right now with all the issues. And usually we're there a couple times a year, checking on production, developing new products. So they've been a huge help. The other thing is, along with their help, because of they're very proactive, because they have a pulse on what's going on. They know when factories are having issues with employees with COVID. They let us know, and we've been just really proactive in increasing orders. We know that it went from 3-month lead time, maybe in some circumstances, to some of our products are at 1 year lead time, or I'm putting in an order and I'm receiving that product in 1 year, which is just so difficult to kind of plan growth around that. But we've just had to kind of take it as it comes and do that, basically plan growth a year or more in advance. And we kind of built the cart. We've kind of put the cart before the horse almost. I mean, we're buying product and expecting to sell before we even hired some of our sales team to actually sell the product. And part of that is because we really believed in our sales, strategy and our plan, and basically the roadmap that we created. And we feel like if we could find the right people, which we did, we can kind of put them in there, teach them how to do it, and go through that process. So it's just been a lot of planning ahead of time, being very proactive, taking risks almost, and like carrying inventory that you don't even know if you can sell. But at the end of the day, we know we have a really great product, and we have a good sales plan, and we have a good sales team. So we know we're going to sell the product. We just need to get it in people's hands. That's always been the strategy.
Well, the other thing I find fascinating is how much you stand behind your product. So for instance, you make this order a year in advance, let's say, and it gets sent over. And I know sometimes it's not perfect, right? Like the Warrior, which was a great paddle. It is badass, you guys. If you play pickleball, check it out. But there were some challenges, right? There were a couple of those. And because I've referred over several people to y'all, they came in, no problem. And every time your guys' answer was always no problem. And you stand behind that product and you say, we will get it right, even though this had nothing to do with you. It wasn't a design flaw. There was just some challenges in some of the products. And I know that's got to happen. But I guess my question, to wrap it all up, your quality control in Florida is amazing. And I've seen Dustin, I believe, cut open rackets, look at what's actually going inside. Why, man? Why is that so important to you guys? Because you don't experience it unless you're like Nordstrom or, I don't know, Southwest. It seems like your culture is all about, we are standing behind our product no matter what, and no problem.
Yeah, on one level, it goes back to what I originally said, was we're trying to create product that's better than anything else out there, that adds a little performance, or just creates a better experience. And for us to say that and not have that would be, something we're just not going to do. We're not creating fluff. We don't put a marketing story in our product and it's not real. We really like to have real, tangible, either technology or the experience that we're trying to give. On the other side, is that we need to create better product for us to go against the big brands. We tell it all the time. We had once an issue with balls, right? The balls came in and the factory had messed up something, the pressure or something happened to where they just weren't performing the way they were supposed to. If that would have been a legacy brand, people would have just bought another case and said, oh, I must have got a bad case. But with us, they go, well, you just started making balls and these things are bound. Do you not know how to make balls? Do your balls aren't good enough? And so we constantly put pressure on our vendors and our sourcing team to make sure that our product is as perfect as possible. We cannot afford to have inferior product. At the same time, build a brand that's, of course, claiming that our product is great, but just in the sense that people need to have that brand loyalty and that experience that they go, wow, this product is awesome. And if it's not, they'll fix it or they'll make it right, or, they'll explain what happened and get me a new one. And that's how we're creating a lot of that, brand loyalty, where people are going to stick with us because they know that we're not selling them fluff. We're not just trying to get a quick buck and disappear. We're trying to build a relationship. And that's most of our relationships are on that. They're built, with coaches that are promoting it to their players, or with a facility that's using our brand across the whole spectrum. And that's creating that growth. It costs us a little bit of time and effort and sometimes money to replace, but it's worth it in the long run by far.
So I'm curious, just because from the outside looking in, it feels like whether it's habits or maybe it is brand loyalty that people have for things they've been using for 30, 40 years playing this game. What is the biggest challenge you guys have to overcome? Because from the outside looking in, that's been my experience, where it's like, well, why wouldn't you go with a Wilson or a Head? They've been around forever. And it's almost like people aren't willing to even consider it. Some of those old school traditionalists, right?
Yep.
But my response to them is always, well, at some point they were the new guy too. Why don't you give these guys a shot? So is that one of the biggest challenges you guys have? Because I know people that use your product, they love it. There's a guy up in the Northeast, has a huge, Nestor Barnaby's his name. He loves your balls, like talks emphatically about how good they are. So you get that too, and that following, which is awesome. But is that the biggest challenge, just overcoming some of those habits?
I definitely think that's the biggest challenge, because we talk to everybody. It's not that we can't get a hold of them. It's not that we can't get them samples, or that we can't afford to, get stuff to them. It's just that some people, the answer is no before they even get on a phone call or before we get a racket in their hand. I would say even those people at this point, they recognize that the product is good. They might say, hey, I like it, but I have a deal with, Wilson, Babolat, Head, whatever it is. And I think some of those, because we've ended up converting some of these people over time, years and years and years of work. Their answer is, I don't even know why I was with them, other than I just was with them for a long time. I mean, I'm sure that, you like the product. If you're using a Babolat Pure Drive, you probably like what you're using. And that in itself is the challenge, because to get someone to switch who's happy and performing well, either they're playing tournaments or they're coaching and they're happy with their product, to get them to switch is sometimes it's a long-term effort, because it has to be a better product in their mind. It has to be a better price. It has to be better service. And we can most of the time give them that, but there's a lot of brand loyalty in tennis. You started at 12 years old. Your coach used a certain brand. You use that brand. Now you're 45. Why are you going to switch? And I think the easiest way to get them to switch is they see it more and more and more. There's some people that are early adopters, and that's who we got in the beginning. They wanted the hot new thing. They think it's going to help their game. It did help their game. I'm making the switch. But sometimes those people then switch to the next new thing pretty quick, because that's what they do. They're always looking for that competitive advantage. But then there's the ones that they need to see all their friends using it, or they need to have their coach tell them to use it, or they need to see it on TV. There's some people that need to see it in the pros' hands. So it's just, everybody's a little different at what gets them to switch. In the end, what's awesome about tennis or pickleball or anything we do is the people that use our product are also our advertising, even if they don't say a word, because you see the bag, you see the logo, you see the strings, the racket. I use the analogy all the time. If we were selling toothbrushes, it would be very difficult, because nobody knows what toothbrush you use. It's sitting in your bathroom. Nobody goes in there. You're not going to talk about your toothbrush to anybody. You're not going to say, wow, I got this awesome toothbrush. But in our industry, people are very vocal. And even if they don't say a word, if they win the tournament and they're using our product, that speaks a lot as well. So it just takes a lot of different things to answer your question. That's one of the difficult aspects, is getting people out of what they've been using for years. And to do so, it takes a lot of effort, and a lot of different, things need to be done to get their interest.
Well, shameless quick plug. My son just won a tournament, so a bunch of kiddos, this Diadem, man, and the bag. And one thing I want to ask, and maybe this is by design, but so technology, you guys are definitely seems like at the forefront of everything. You also have a very, I'll say hip, it's very cool. Your design is it's just badass, man. It's like you have the diamond and there's three of them, and it just looks and feels different than again what I would say some of the maybe traditional type of look. Is that by design, brother? What,
Yeah.
who came up with this stuff? Because it does look sick.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to really know who came up with stuff. Everything is by committee. I mean, we have a good group of people, with me, AJ, our business partner, Jeff, and Mike, and then our design team. And we just go over stuff over and over. We put our heads together. And I think we're all very good at not really creating stuff that maybe we like, but that we think a lot of people will like, and that's the trick to everything is to kind of create something that, we hope that majority of people say, yeah, that's pretty cool. I think we've been pretty bold with our colors from the beginning with the teal. We wanted to that teal color, that our brand color, we just wanted to create basically a design that stands out. We couldn't do red. You can't really do green. We're not trying to copy. We're trying to be unique. We're trying to be something that you'll notice from three courts down. And that was kind of the idea behind it. And then along the way, yes, that's another key aspect. Is not just that it has to play great, not just that the pricing has to be good, not just that the customer service, but it has to look good. I mean, if we made the ugliest racket in the world, it would be a lot more difficult to sell than if we made the coolest looking racket in the world. So, we think our stuff looks great. Of course, everybody's different. Everybody has their own, kind of wants, and some people want to match their outfit to stuff. So it's also about creating a lot of options too. And so that's kind of just been the process.
I want to get back to the word culture. And the reason I want to is when you walk through your doors at headquarters, there is a palpable feel that the culture is away and it's playful. It's fun. Again, I'll say it's hip, it's technology. You can feel it. So is that something that your team, you mentioned your committee, is that something that you guys were like, look, we are going to embrace this, or we are by design, we're going to put this out there. This is our DNA because it's different, man. It just is. And I mean it in a very cool way. It kind of feels like a Google when you walk in, like, oh, I can go play tennis over here. I can there's cornhole boards out, but yet you guys are kicking ass in business as well. So talk to me about the culture of Diadem in general.
Yeah, I think the easiest answer is, when we first built this office and when we moved in, I mean, there was just a few of us. So we were really just doing it for ourselves, and, we wanted to create, obviously we have tons of fun coming to work. I mean, I never, get depressed about going to work a day in my life. I mean, I'm up early and I'm ready to go. I mean, I want to be here. Part of it is because of, the exciting of the growth and the new products and all that stuff. And part of it is just, yeah, I like being around the people here. I mean, we've hired great people, people that share the same vision as we do. But then, yeah, I mean, to have an indoor, hitting lane, there's a pickleball court in the back. We want to build a padel. We want to put a tennis court in. So we'll have all that stuff probably in the next year. Part of it is research and development. That's the good excuse. Hey, we got to have a court there. You got to be able to, try stuff. But part of it is, yeah, we want to be, in the grand scheme, and I mean, we're still a long ways from there, but we want to be the Disneyland of tennis. We want to be where people walk in here, they think it's, super cool. They want to hang out. We would love for people to come in and just hang out. Come get your racket strung, hang out, talk to people, ask questions, check stuff out, look at the products, play a little tennis. We want people around. We want people, interested, and we want people, honestly, at the end of the day, we want people telling people about it. We want photos posted on Instagram. We want people to share. We want just kind of to be seen as who we are, which is, like you said, technology driven, hip. We want people to see us as always looking to improve. We're not just going to ride our name and just say, hey, this is who we are, and use us because we've been around. We understand people want results, and we'll give them that.
Well, if you guys, again, if you're in South Florida, go check it out. It's fun. Literally, he said Disneyland. They have a great coffee area, great
Yeah,
snacks.
true.
I mean, seriously, I take advantage of that every time I can. Talk to me about pickleball, man, and why you guys chose to. I mean, it's what I play. Now, I'm not sponsored yet. Let's just put
Yeah,
that
no.
out there yet. But talk to people about what pickleball, and you mentioned padel, which that thing looks awesome. I've never played. I've just seen it. But why did you decide to, with as much as you had going on tennis wise, embrace pickleball as quickly as you did? Because you want to talk early adopters, you guys really, to me, got in quite quickly and quite successfully. Why pickleball, brother? And is it just in line with what you're doing in tennis?
Yeah, no, I mean the quick answer is yeah, it is in line. I mean, we use the same strategies. We use the same sourcing. We use a lot of the same materials, technology, all that stuff. So it is a very, very different sport, and the more you play it, and you realize that too. And I think there's not as many tennis people going into pickleball as people think. I think there's a lot of people that are golfers, maybe that want to play a racket sport, or maybe they haven't played any sport, but they're ready to do something because it's so social, fun, but also it's a good workout. I mean, I'm still sore from my tournament last week in the pickleball, but I think in general we saw it as an opportunity a few years ago, and we saw the potential. We saw it because it was so easy to play, so fun to play. It's addictive, and initially we were just a little bit, kind of hesitant of, what the kind of the market is like. Are people buying one paddle and never buying another paddle? In tennis, you buy a tennis racket, maybe you buy three. And you get it restrung once a month, if you maybe once a week if you're a competitive junior. And so there's a lot of product to sell tennis players. In pickleball, we were worried, okay, they'll buy a paddle and never hear from them again. But we kind of learned quickly that that's not really the case. Pickleball, not only is there's always new people joining pickleball, but I think that the pickleball consumer, what we've learned is you start with a paddle and you're at a certain level. You just started, you're a beginner. And within a month, you've probably doubled in your ability, like within 1 month. In tennis, it may take you 20 years. I mean, if you pick up tennis at 45, I don't know what your future holds for you. Pick up pickleball at 45, at 50, you may be the number one, senior pro tour in the world, and you've gone from nothing to, one of the best players there is. And so we see that people are always looking for the next thing in pickleball much more than they are in tennis. In tennis, you buy your racket, you may sit on that racket for 10 or 15 years and say, this is the racket for me. I don't need anything else. In pickleball, I think there's a lot of interest in what's next. How can I improve my game? I'm improving. I went from a 3-0 to a 4-0 in 2 months. I need a better paddle. I need a new paddle. I need that paddle that's going to get me a bit more touch, or I need more power. And you're kind of learning what you need. And we thought that we could be there to give, basically the consumer what they need. We had a lot of great ideas to create a better paddle. I think we did. We have two really, really great top end paddles in the Icon and the Warrior. And we have a lot of plans for a lot of new stuff moving forward. But I think that we already are a pretty big player in the pickleball space, where it was, in a sense, a little bit easier to get there just because there's no brand loyalty out there. People haven't been using their Onyx paddle for 20 years. They've been using it for 20 days most of the time, So if we could provide them with something better, which I think we have, then we know we can get converts a lot easier. And so it's been just really, really fun to learn pickleball, to learn the pickleball consumer, and to just create really, really great products.
And they do, you guys. It looks different. It feels different. My paddle is the Icon. For those of you that haven't played pickleball, try it. For the love of Pete, if I can't get anything else across, go out and try it, because as Evan said, it doesn't matter if you were a pro tennis player, never played a sport in your life. Pickleball is there for everyone. I love that. Hey, man, I want to ask you specific with building a business. And we all know that there's failure. You're going to encounter it at some point. Like you said, whether it's a factory that made a mistake, or we have all these ships stuck in the LA harbor, or whatever it is. And not that that's your failure, but how do you guys deal with it, process through it, and continue to succeed, even though you constantly may be challenged with some failure?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think, we've definitely had failure along the way, some of the stuff you've said or other things, but it's hard to even think of it that way. I can't give you an exact example because every, failure is just turned into an opportunity. And I think that's just the way we've always looked at everything. And I think just in life, that's the way I like to look at stuff. I mean, how can you turn something negative into a positive? The easiest example, because we've talked about it, is when we do have a defect in a paddle, that's a failure, and you get an email, you get a phone call, and people are upset. But now we get to have a conversation with that customer. We get to make it right by getting them a new paddle. We get a loyal customer almost every time because they're happy. I mean, sure, they got to be without a paddle for a couple days, and they spent the money, but hey, we're making it right, and we're having a conversation. We're learning what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it. We're reaching out to them again in a couple weeks. How are things going? And it's an opportunity to build the relationship. So I think when balls are late, it's an opportunity to, again, call up the customer. Hey, the balls are late. I'm so sorry. What can we do to make it right? There's always an opportunity to turn that positive or that negative into a positive. And most of our failures have been, just little things like a defect or something being late. It's not like we've launched a product and we've gotten a horrible response to it. So that makes it a lot easier to kind of have that sunny disposition. But I think in the future, as more and more, quote, failures happen, we'll just continue to pivot or look at them as an opportunity or to build a relationship and so on and so forth. So I think just any advice is, always see how you can, pivot and use that as an opportunity, because there's always an answer to every problem. You just have to find it sometimes.
Well, clearly the athlete knew. I mean, if failure turns into opportunity, I already know the title of this podcast at this point, which is awesome. But you take that mentality, and I'm curious to see, as any great athlete, what is the vision for the next 1 to 5 years of Diadem? Where are y'all going, man? Because it's been a fun ride for me to watch over the last year or so that I've really known who you guys are. I am excited. I want to know, where are you guys off to?
Yeah, we're going global, man. So we have a lot of things happening in Europe. We have a subsidiary we just launched last year, middle of last year, so we're super excited about the growth there. We have a full warehouse. All of our product that we have here, we have in Germany. So we're building partnerships with people in the UK and Italy and Romania. I mean, a lot of stuff happening over in Europe. And in Japan, we also have a team there and a new distributor we're launching this year. Japan is an awesome market for us. It's the second largest tennis market in the world, and we're slowly trying to convince them to bring on pickleball. I think pickleball could be just absolutely massive in Japan. I mean, they're just so limited on space. They love their racket sports there, from badminton, ping pong, tennis. I think that could be a really great sport for them. In general, in the business, we're continuing to add product lines in the pickleball space. We're just trying to catch up to the demand. I mean, we have always barely enough warriors to supply the demand. So we're trying to get our production up, and we're adding new variations of the warrior, new variations of the icon this year. And then in tennis, we're developing right now our V3 Elevate. So that's our control paddle, that first launched in 2018. Then the second model, the FS, was 2020. Then beginning next year, we'll launch our Elevate V3. So we've just tried to improve slightly. We don't really want to change it too much because it's a great racket. You don't want the specs to be completely different and people that loved it before now hate it. But I think if we can improve it just a little bit, take some of the feedback that people have given us and put that into the technology we use in it and everything, I think we've already created a really great racket, and some updated cosmetics and stuff, and it's going to be really good new addition for next year. And then the last thing, we're really excited to get into some apparel this year. We have marketing apparel with our logo, big logo, and I love seeing people wearing that. But we have a new vendor for a full line of what we're going to call team apparel. So, women's skirts and shorts and tops, and men's shorts and tops, and different collared shirts and V-necks and crew necks. And, we have a lot of strong partnerships with high schools, with club teams, and we want to be able to, get them the apparel. They always ask us, hey, can we use your apparel? And, we really can't with just a regular t-shirt, but with a full apparel line, starting kind of small. I think we can, continue to support, those teams that mean a lot to us.
Well, if you guys didn't see that smile when he said global, I can't wait for you guys as you continue to add so many products. I want to give you just open forum, man. If there's something I should have known enough to ask you and I just didn't, anything you want to leave the audience with where you're like, dang it, Jam, I got to say this before we hop off this interview. I've just open forum for you, man. Go for it.
Yeah. I mean, really the only thing, and you've already hit on it, so it's just reiterating, is we'd love for people to come into the offices. We'd love for people to get on the hitting lane. We'd love for them to, even at, no pressure, just try the racket, try the paddle. We know without a doubt, the more people we get trying our stuff, the more people will get switching to our stuff. It's really that simple. It's always been that simple. They'll notice right away that the quality, the performance is great. Maybe that particular racket or paddle doesn't fit their game. We have a lot of options now, but we'll have more continuing in the future. So at least they'll get that first introduction to who we are. And maybe in a year when the next Elevate comes out, or, maybe a new 105 Nova in the future, whatever, that'll be the one that they'll switch to. So we just looking forward to building relationships with everybody, from the director of a tennis down to, a 12-year-old up and coming junior player. So, if anybody is visiting South Florida, which you often do when you come in for a tournament with your kids, or just coming to visit South Florida because it's the beach, stop by. We're in Pompano, right off 95. It's a really, really fun, cool experience, and we'd love to meet everybody that we can.
Yeah, and guys, I would say whether you're looking for a new racket or not, if you're just looking to experience a cool business with a bunch of really badass, awesome people, check it out. It's just really, it is a cool experience. So I hope they do. Speaking of, where can they connect with you online, Evan, if they're like, all right, I got to see what Diadem's all about? Where's the best place to kind of connect with you guys, just to find out more about what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I mean, diademsports.com, diadempickleball.com are our websites. We're very active on social media. You can easily shoot us a message on either, at Diadem Sports or at Diadem Pickleball. Someone will get back to you. Email us, call us. We're very, very committed to taking inquiries. If you reach out to us, we'll answer it, whether it's the silliest question or you're saying, hey, I want to buy 10,000 rackets, we'll answer. So, I think that's probably the easiest. I mean, we're on a lot of online retailers and stuff, but we like dealing directly with people to answer questions. I mean, a lot of the big online retailers, they'll carry our stuff. Maybe they don't carry everything. So if you have questions about a specific product, we're here to answer them.
Awesome, man. You guys absolutely go check it out. They're a great group of people. They're doing some amazing things. Evan, I appreciate you taking the time, man. I love what doing for the sport, helping out my boy, helping out pickleball growth. It's awesome, man. So just thank you.
Yeah, cool. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Truly my pleasure. You guys go check it out. I'm telling you, whether you play or you don't, it's just a really cool product. Great gear. I'm excited to hear they're bringing out apparel. I'll definitely be sporting that along with my Let's Go Win gear. So I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Whether you like tennis, like pickleball, or you don't, just hearing about the business, I think, is so unique. So remember, you guys, until next time, your mindset matters. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much for listening. If this content is delivering value to you, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review us. That helps us build this community, and that is what we are all about. Building this community as big as we can, helping as many people as we can, and deliver as much value as possible. Be sure to head over to letsgowinpodcast.com for information on my coaching courses, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Let's Go Win 365. Let's go win and transcend in life.
This is the Let's Go Win podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson.